great armies clashed there, and 3 days later, 50,000 men would never again see the light of day. The armies were the Army of the Potomac and the Army of Northern Virginia, led by George Gordon Meade, Robert E. Lee. In November of that year, they gathered to dedicate the cemetery. The master of ceremonies stood and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the President of the United States." And Abraham Lincoln stood and said, "407 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We're met upon a great battlefield for that war. We've come to dedicate a portion of that field as the final resting place of those who died here that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we do this, but in a greater sense we cannot dedicate, we cannot hallow, we cannot consecrate this ground. For those brave men living and dead who struggled here have dedicated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they have thus far so nobly advanced. It is for us, the living, to be here dedicated to the unfinished task which is ours. That from these hallowed dead we receive increased devotion to that great cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain. That this nation under God shall receive a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from this earth.
Dr. Bill Sherman, ladies and gentlemen.